welcome everybody to our Creators Series highlights from Decentraland DAO. Every month we feature different Decentraland DAO grantees showcasing their creative journey from the proposals, concept, inception to making their dream a reality. And for this month's highlight, I'm here with two extraordinary grantees, Bay and Serena. And thank you both so much for being here. I've been following you, both of your grants and your contributions to Decentraland DAO and Decentraland as a whole for some time now. And I'm super excited to get to dive in and share with the community all that you guys have been doing. Share your rabbit hole journey into Decentraland. That would be a really great place to start, and then we can start diving into your proposals. I don't know who wants to take it first, but
you go.
Sure, I can go first.
Awesome.
Well, I kind of dipped into Decentraland kind of by accident. I was doing research. I love to research for some reason, but I was on YouTube and discovered Decentraland, and it was almost like a commercial. It was like, discover a new world, and I was like, wow, okay. So I started watching it, and I instantly fell in love with the idea, and that's when I started to invest in Decentraland. So I became an investor first, and yeah, I think I started in 2020, and I decided to dip into Decentraland and actually log in for the first time. And that's kind of, I haven't looked back since. The minute I went in the game, I never came out. So yeah, it's been a really great journey. But I've always been a creator before Decentraland. So as a streamer and also musician, I just felt like this amazing mix to create into Decentraland and use both of those skills together. So that's kind of where my journey started, and I'm so happy I took the leap because it's just such an amazing platform that lets creators experiment, create new ideas, and I'm just happy to be here. So.
Thank you. And Bay.
Yeah, I'm not an OG like Serena.
You feel like you are. I feel like your name is everywhere. I'm like, where is Bay not at? You know, like.
I got this call, like I think it was February last year. I was director of curation for an NFT platform in Europe. And I got the call from the founder of the platform and said they just bought land in Decentraland and I had to do something with it. So, okay, I'd never heard of Decentraland. I'd never been in Decentraland. And I think, like you, Serena, the moment I went in World and saw this kind of garden, there's like, there's this garden here, a 2x2 parcel that I've got to do something with. And it was the week before the invasion of Ukraine.
Oh, wow.
So no, it must have been a couple more weeks. So I think I got the call and then I was planning an exhibition, and then very quickly afterwards, we got the notifications from Ukraine. And so we quickly pivoted and created our first exhibition in Decentraland as a fundraiser for Ukraine. So we created refuge, we built a gallery, we created the exhibition, we raised $28,000 for Ukraine.
Wow.
Yeah, and it was my first contact with the metaverse community. It was bringing all the artists that I've been working with in the NFT platform into Decentraland for the first time. So we had 20 artists in the fundraiser. And it was just this incredible moment when we opened the exhibition and this community came in wearing these wearables, being part of this show, kind of engaging in such a really inspiring level with the artworks, with the builds, with what we were doing. And that was it for me. So I'm not leaving. This is the space. So I'm an artist as well as working Web3. So it was a really easy move for me to start a collective of artists to create Decentraland installations. So I founded with Adrian Martinez, an amazing designer, called a project called Vueltta, and we create installations in Decentraland as part of our art practice. So we did. Yeah, and that's the history so far.
Wow, so wonderful. I know, it's like I love listening to those stories to see how Decentraland kind of seeps in, and as creators and, you know, obviously all three of us have backgrounds in arts. It's just like you come in here and it just has a grip on you, and you just start like there's so many possibilities, and that's what I think is so magical about it. Like it's basically what you make of it. You're like, okay, and now with Worlds too, that's a whole nother explosion of possibilities for creators wanting to come in and just experiment, so I'm excited about that. And so what I would love to jump in now is like I'm here right now in Vuelta, but you kind of briefly jumped in and talked about your proposal, and maybe if you can each kind of give an overview of what your grant was, and just so people who haven't heard about it, and then from there we'll jump in a little bit deeper into that process. So what was it like coming up with your idea? Well, actually, first overview, and then we can jump into the details.
Sure. Yeah, my project is a women's empowerment project for music and entertainment. Since I was one of the first entertainers in Decentraland, I felt kind of almost a little bit alone, in the process, because there wasn't too many creators before me as a performer. So I just had this idea that how can I help other artists like me have resources and guidance? And, I look at a platform like Decentraland, it's so new. How can we get creators into Decentraland in a smooth way, in a smooth transition? And that's when I created the project with the resources. So I started blogging, because I think blogging is already, it's a proof of concept. It's already worked in Web 2. So how can I incorporate Web 2 and Web 3? And I kind of meshed it together. And so when I was able to onboard female entertainers, it was just such a smooth transition to give them the resources. Whenever they had a question, I can instantly answer those questions. So when I created this project, it was really just to make everything easy and for the average person, because I understand sometimes, like, when people hear metaverse, they kind of like go, whoa, sounds complex. But it doesn't have to be if you set the tone correctly. So that's exactly what I wanted to do with this project. And, it's been pretty successful. And I'm just really proud that like a thought, an idea can come to life,
No, definitely. And I'm curious, how did you, when it comes to the participating artists, was it just from your own network, or was it you reaching out to how did that work for you?
Yeah, so I onboarded 4 females. I kind of wanted to onboard more, but I was working with what I can get. But it was a mix. I was actually a mix of artists that I did know. One of them I actually met in Decentraland, at the last year music festival. And I was like, I already know her. I can, I felt like a level of trust with her. So I said, how about, you perform in the metaverse? And she was like, of course, because she actually enjoyed the live concert at the last festival. So that was kind of easier. But I do have a strong connection with artists in general, since I feel like when you're trying to onboard, it's easy to connect with artists because you're kind of already on the same wavelength. So it really wasn't a hard thing to onboard females. So it was more like reaching out. And also there's a level of trust there because they already see that I'm doing it. So then they say, oh, okay, she's doing it, I can do it too. So it was just kind of very, cool experience between artist to artist.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, yeah, especially having some kind of person that like you won't feel like kind of silly asking certain things, right? That you feel comfortable. You'll be like, wait, what is this? How do I even get there? Or basic stuff that in the beginning seems like to us that we've been in there for so long, like, we just do it automatically. But it's really nice to have that person there to just help and guide you and be like, just do it, and that's how kind of this community is. If you dive in, then you're like, oh, that wasn't so bad. That was really exciting. And what about you, Bay? Can you tell a little bit? I mean, you kind of dove in a little bit to Vuelta already, but share kind of like the inception or the idea behind you doing a grant after you did, the whole installation, because that began first, right? You did that installation that your the NFT project asked you to do, and then you jumped into a grant, correct?
Yeah, I did a couple of exhibitions with the NFT platform, and then the Crypto Crush in June last year happened. And it was obvious that the NFT platform was going to have real difficulty in continuing to support artists in the same way it had been doing. So the designer I'd been working with, Adrienne, and I were so into this metaverse book that we knew at that point that it was really important for us to keep going. And we'd already met Gigi from Decentraland Foundation.
Oh, awesome.
In a conference that we went to, I think in March last year. And again, we're really inspired with what they were doing. And this thing called Metaverse Art Week had been mentioned at the conference. So I sort of bugged Gigi. I was like, Gigi, this Metaverse Art Week thing, like how do we get involved with this? And can we do something around it? And got really excited by it. So Adrian and I decided, right, we really want to do something. And we'd like to do something in quite a big scale. So we'd like to create something that really explores how people can interact with the exhibitions themselves. Because we've done sort of standard exhibitions with the NFT platform, very much NFTs in frames, put it on the wall, create a nice environment, create a story around it, but never really kind of dived into SDK and what's possible in terms of soundscapes and more immersive exhibitions. So NFT Show Europe approached me to do some curation for them in the NFT Show Europe itself. So I thought, okay, cool. That gives us a reason to go for a grant and think about how we can combine an art exhibition and promotion of Decentraland at NFT Show Europe. So can we do something that hits both sides? So we applied for a community tier 3, saying we want to create this exhibition and we want to share it with the NFT Show Europe crowd. We want to do something on the floor at NFT Show Europe, and we also want to get Decentraland involved as much as possible with NFT Show Europe. And that's kind of how it came about, and worked really well. So we interviewed Sam Hamilton on stage at NFT Show Europe. I did a big presentation about getting NFTs out of frames into the metaverse and doing immersive exhibitions so I could show what we built, also what other people have built for Metaverse Art Week, really starting to kind of evangelize what Decentraland can be for artists, which is, I guess, why you see me everything. You see me all the time right now.
I think she has a twin.
Yeah.
A secret twin.
It's like kind of big thing for showing what's, I think, just as Serena said, like showing what's possible and it being really conceptual unless you go, hey, look at this and what you can do really as artists and how you can sort of create these spatial spacious, digital immersive things.
Yeah, and I really love how the both of you, come from that like IRL arts background and kind of really integrate your experiences across the board, reaching out to that community, doing your interviews, all of the stuff that I've seen you both posting and what you're doing. To me, that's so important, like having that connection and really sharing with the larger IRL community, like, look, this is here. And then they meet you and they also engage in the experience in that other, it's such a different experience level than just meeting online, which is wonderful. That's how I've met almost everybody in Decentraland. But I've also I was part of a grant as well with IRL Art, and we did ETHDenver, we did all these things, and it's really magical when you do that kind of experimentation and presentation. And yeah, I'm excited always about that. When I see grantees doing that, I'm like, yes, that's the key to onboarding, to have that connection. In terms of the grant itself and the grant writing process for you guys and that whole process, like how was that process for you guys? How long did it take? Like when you were planning it, was it like, did you get feedback from the community? How did you guys approach the grant writing aspect?
That's a great question. I don't remember exactly how it came about. I know it was an idea. And then, this idea was way before I applied for a grant. But, I wanted to bring in artists for probably around the summertime. But I guess the first thing is, I use Google Docs for everything. But I just started writing down what I can do differently than other grants, because it's one thing to, copy someone else's idea and here and there, but I'm like, what has been successful in Web 2? So I just kind of started like dissecting that, because we can't forget that part because there's been a lot of success there. So I just kind of started writing down those ideas, and then how can I be different? And I haven't really seen anyone incorporate blogging as part of their experience, like part of their grant. I mean, I personally haven't seen it. So I just thought it was a great idea. So I just thought of like, what can I write about? So I just kind of brainstorming, what do Web3 people blog about? So yeah, I just kind of started writing those ideas down. But how can it mesh with music and artists? So I just kind of integrating all of those things. So I just kind of just writing those ideas, and then when you write those ideas, you can kind of like dissect. Okay, throw that out, input some of this, and then also get feedback from close users. So I did ask users that have been to my performances what they think about that, because they already love coming to and spending time with me in these experiences. So I felt like they were the best people to ask. So I did that, and then I did share internally to the proposal to some people in Decentraland, and then I did upload the proposal. And then I applied for the grant. So those were kind of the steps, is just writing down ideas, getting input from the closest people to me in the metaverse. And then once I got the internal, ideas from the people that I work with closely, then I can share it with the community, because then I feel like we're all on the same page,
Yeah, I love that. That's so important. And I'm also curious, like once you, have your proposal active, that's almost like step one is done, and then the whole 2-week period of people's comment and feedback. How was that process for you? And what did you do? A lot of outreach? A lot of people seem to be like, that's when another phase enters, and they're just hustling, trying to get people to read it, give them feedback, and hopefully, vote in whatever way they vote, right? Because the no's help you sometimes just as much as the yeses.
Right. You know what? I didn't even ask for, it wasn't even my idea to ask for a grant, because I've been in the game for like 2.5 years. I never even thought of to ask for a grant. Someone actually recommended me to apply.
That's awesome.
So yeah, they're like, you should apply. You deserve it, Serena. You work so hard. And I'm like, I don't know. Like, I never even looked into grants. Like, I just didn't even think that was a possibility for me, to be honest. And then when I applied, I was a little bit nervous. I'm like, I don't know what to expect from this. But then I thought, I'm like, that's what it's for. It's to help artists like me and artists that, have these amazing ideas and how to bring them to life. So it didn't really, the whole grant process wasn't really my idea. It was someone that came to my events and thought that I should apply for one. So I did.
To see when the community supports you. And that's kind of how when I began doing grants for other places, the same thing. I would never have thought of doing it, but like, it's nice to have community members acknowledge you and your work and be like, hey, try it out. And then I'm sure from that you've learned so much throughout this whole process.
Oh yeah. Yeah, no, for sure. And also Kevin Hart. Wait, I hope I'm Kevin on Earth. Sorry,
okay. I was gonna say, I was like, Kevin on Earth.
He has on YouTube of the process of how grants should be assessed. So I did do a little research on that just to see, because obviously, you can look at other people's experiences and see what they've done correctly and what they've done wrong. So just a little bit of like a learning curve and a learning tool, like, oh, okay, what to avoid and what is good to add into the grant. So that was a little bit nice of like a little sprinkle to kind of help me on that journey as well. So I have to thank him for that.
That's so funny to say that. I was actually part of that that process with him. So I was one of the grants. Like I passed my first individual grant for MCon. Like I got funding to do IRL event during it's a conference about DAOs in Denver. So I learned from that process as well, and I love Kevin on Earth. I was a DCL reporter for a long time too.
Okay, so you probably know Jessica Gross. Jessica.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I always know her as her name. Like, yeah, she's awesome.
Well, yeah, she was the one that told me to apply.
Oh, wicked.
She was one of the first people I've met in Decentraland. So, yeah, she was doing little reports here and there really early on, and we kind of connected from the moment we met. And she was the one that was like gun ho, like apply. And
That's so
I was like,
fun.
all right.
It's such a small world.
Right.
And what about you, Bay? Can you share, a little bit about that whole experience as well, and your grant writing process, and also like how your community engagement was, and that whole
Yeah, it's a similar story that I ran for a grant because I was working already with some amazing landowners. So like the installation you can see here is with Indie Village, and the guys at Edifice Metaversal have like just been supporters from the absolute beginning. So Dax, GS Bros, these people that are so active within Decentraland DAO as well. And so I asked Dax and GS straight away. I was like, is this a grant thing? And they were so supportive of it and immediately helped with the grant writing, helped with connecting with other people in the community as well about who should I be talking to here. Just people like Tanpoco and Canessa and CK Bubbles.
Awesome.
These people have been so supportive since the beginning. And so, I mean, Scott Moore or Job, just feedback on everything, like feedback on the installation, like, it's often the first person I'll show things to and say, what do you think of this? Because I know he's going to be brutally honest. Like,
yeah, I love that. I love people like that. You want that brutally honest, because then not like people, everything you do is wonderful. Like, nah, well, thank you, but.
Yeah, so really pushing as an artist. And I agreed to apply for the grant because I wanted to pay Adrian and the other people involved with the team. That was really important.
Oh, yeah.
And then for me, I've kept the grant in Decentraland as my voting power. So that kind of gave me more connection as well within the DAO. So I chose to just keep the grant process itself within Decentraland as kind of my stake within the platform too. So it was this kind of hopefully virtuous circle that I could produce these installations with Vueltta, we could get the exposure, and then also I can play a greater role in terms of decision making. When you first join, you have one VP.
Yeah, that's how I still only have like 300. Like, yeah. I'm a member, but I'm like, I need to go out for. I think all of us should do delegation. Have you both done delegation? I haven't done it yet.
No, I haven't done it yet. This is another conversation.
Let's talk later.
When you start, you're voting with your one VP, and you're like, yes, this vote. So it felt like a big step for me to be able to both join the DAO in a big way with the grant, be able to say, yeah, I'm participating properly in this community now. I have some VP. Being part of the grant process itself was really awesome, about seeing the other grantees, about being part of those conversations, about connecting with people like Zeno and you, Natalie, and people in the DAO team. You just feel much more of a part of the community. I think that's what we got out of the grant process itself. And yeah, just having that community support all the way through as well was just really important.
And on a more technical note, I'm curious, what do you guys think about all the improvements in the DAO tool, in the tooling they've provided for grantees, and how the grant support squads helped? And I mean, what has your experience with that been? Has it been pretty? I mean, to me, I've seen over the last 2 years all these improvements, and just like the updates, the interface, all these things, just to make your experience better in terms of reporting and that kind of interaction. Was that positive for you guys, or is there things that you think are still needing improvement?
Well, I mean, I only applied in November, so I was never really involved in the whole grant in the DAO. Mm-hmm. I was very active as a performer and working with brands, so I don't really know the difference between what it was and what it is now. Mm-hmm. But for me per se, just doing the updates, I mean, I think it's a great, tool to kind of even see as a person that's a grantee, to look back at the progress and also look at others. So I think that's a great tool. But as far as what did I see that was different? Yeah, I can't because I can't say because I haven't really been in the DAO for like years. You know what I mean? So I don't really know the difference, to be honest.
Well, I do look at the channels a lot, and I really like it that you both of you guys have been very active in posting on your Discord channel. You know, you're dedicated. No, both. I'm talking about all of the above. I know the tooling as well, but it's just cool for me to see how grantees communicate with the larger community. You know, obviously updates are a wonderful way that I think that's changed too, but also I also really appreciate when grantees post a lot of things that, you know, community member can access on the Discord as well. You know, that's just for me. Yeah, and no, but the tooling itself, the update tooling is so cool because I think it's an amazing way for community members to learn about the process, right? Okay, if I'm going to get a grant, this is part of the journey, and also just to learn from your guys' experiences, your blockers, your journey. I'm always in there like reading through, you know, that's like my fun time. What are they doing? What have they done? You know, what are their challenges? But yeah.
Yeah, I just want to add a little bit to that. I thought you meant like the I guess like the DAO interface, but as far as the Discord, I do like that we each have a channel and that we can all look at other people's channels and see what they're working on. You know, I think that's really cool add on because you know some people some people that I know kind of look through my channel for certain things. So I think that's a really nice touch. So.
What about you, Bay?
Yeah, I guess I came in just as all the changes were being made. So when I started with the NFT platform, it was quite quiet in the DAO Discord. And then with all the changes, I feel like that's been activated to such a increased level now. Just the conversation is at a higher level. All the conversations that are going on about working groups right now, about VP distribution, about how the grants are going to be restarted, evolve this year as well. I think that conversation has been a really important step for Decentraland. And also the support committee, the squad, has really taken that role and run with it. So you do know now who to contact when you have issues. Yeah. I think before we were just relying much more on the main Decentraland Discord server, which is just this big open sea of different questions and different things coming through. So I think that's been a big advantage of being a grantee, is having access to that know-how on the grant support squad. And yeah, as Serena said, just seeing like how everyone else is running and being able to contact between different groups as well. I've been introduced to different grantees, connections start opening up because you're having conversations on different people's grants as well. So I think there's a sense of community growing around the grant program itself.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think one thing I wanted to ask is like, how did you guys both connect? Because I know you've collaborated on some things as well.
Well, Bay, I mean, I think she reached out to collaborate with I think it was like the music video that I had created. And I know that you had an idea to maybe showcase that innovation in Decentraland. So that's kind of how the collaboration went, but I'm sure she can do more on that.
Yeah, so I've been asked to do various talks this year about metaverse and Decentraland and decentralization. So I did a course last year at university here in the city on Web3 DAOs, the metaverse. And from that, I was asked to do a lecture at Berkeley the week before last, so Berkeley College of Music. So they're in New York and they're here in Valencia as well. Oh, wow. So they asked me to, yeah, it was really cool. They asked me to, like,
major lady. She talks about these things like, oh, and so do you, Serena. I just did this. I'm like, you both are rock stars.
It's really fun. It's like introducing these concepts they were MA students in the Global Entertainment and Music Business course that Berkeley runs. Mm-hmm. But it's really interesting seeing their level. Like most of them didn't have a wallet. Most of them had never been in Web3 environments. So it was doing that from the beginning. So introducing metaverse culture, decentralization. And I was looking for really interesting performers, musicians that were using Decentraland in a really interesting way. So obviously I've been following the grant anyway, but then looking at Serena's music videos, looking at the way that she does in-world content production, the fact that her work is so integrated within the Decentraland platform, just this creative work that's happening there, creating own builds, creating wearable collaborations. So all that I could use within the course alongside people like Stony, Buffalo, True, all these great people that a lot of whom have come through the grant program as well. So it becomes kind of this resource you can look through too of, okay, who's doing this innovation and what can we share in terms of case studies?
I know we need to do some kind of fun I know that DCL Creations is doing that library, like have a place where you can just scroll through like cool people doing stuff and just hear these stories, like a story kind of like, I don't know, I've seen it in my head what it would be fun to see, because there's so much of this amazing, like I get an opportunity as a facilitator to like, work with a lot of grantees and hear about these amazing collaborations. But most of the time you don't hear about it because they're just doing it behind the scenes, like Meta Party working with, Rovi people, like all these like people just connecting in ways to like support each other. And that to me is so important to like the health and growth of Decentraland community and, what's going to be done in the future. It's just, yeah. Let me see. What was it? Future plans. Okay, like I know you both have like posted a bunch of things in your future plans, like what you guys are doing, and I'm so excited to see what you guys will be working on next. And I know that both of you I mean, Bay, your grant finished about a month ago. Oh wait, how long ago? 2 months or?
Yeah, quite a while ago, actually.
Yeah, yours has been a little while ago, but it feels like, I don't know, time goes by so fast. And I'm like, I feel like your grant is like, I was just there. But I know Serena's just finished recently, right? Like,
yeah.
Okay, cool.
January 26th. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm curious to see, like, I know that Bay, it has here that you're working on your Metaverse Fashion Week, possibly doing a project that you've posted about. Is that still in the works, or I would love to hear more about that. So the community, and everything you guys have talked about, I definitely want to link and all your videos. But yeah, if you could dive in a little bit and talk about your Metaverse Fashion Week plans.
Yeah, so we're doing an install called Dear Vivian. So Vivian Westwood, it's a letter in the metaverse to Vivian Westwood to thank her for 50 years of fashion inspiration. So we're creating an immersive install and code-breaking game and so we're going to be doing a code-breaking game, immersive install, and community fashion show around, I don't know if you both know Vivian Westwood. She was a British designer. She kind of created the punk look. She created the 80s pirate look. She was the woman behind a lot of activism around sustainable fashion, about anti-fashion, which fits in with a lot of the sense of decentralization and kind of anti-hierarchical, anti-establishment kind of culture that's coming out of the metaverse as well. So we're creating this installation to kind of explore that and introduce more people to her work as a fashion designer, but also kind of create this, hopefully, this community event that brings people together around anti-fashion and how we're putting together that in the metaverse through wearables. So yes, and it's and it's going to be the main metaverse fashion area. So the foundation have given us. I know, it's so cool.
Dude, that's huge.
So we're building that at the moment, and that's going to go in a 2x2 in the main Fashion Week zone, and hopefully it's going to be a really fun but kind of thought-provoking installation about these ideas that came through in Vivian Westwood's life and what she brought to the fashion industry.
So when it comes to a project like that, like are you doing the funding coming from a different source, or what is the funding source for all that work? Just volunteer? You're just working here? That's what we do.
It's that thing that Adji and I joke that we're both very much from an arts background. So I'm deep into Web3 from a very commercial sense as well.
Uh-huh.
But I keep the two practices entirely separate, and I'm very much an artist when I'm doing installs. Cool. So we find it very hard to think commercially about the work we're doing in the install. So we're just making it work in terms of that side. So no, we don't have funding for this project. This is a passion project, and this is very much an art project for us.
Awesome.
That's how it's working right now.
And the coding, you said you're going to actually do a coding break game, or what is it? A coding?
Code breaking, yeah.
Okay.
Like it's going to be a puzzle where you have to figure out like you have to crack a code
Nice.
that's in the letter to Vivian. So it's kind of like a game around an installation, which again comes from this metaverse culture that we have, the gaming side as well. And a lot of the people that visit our exhibitions, kind of they don't have the arts background. They come to it from a gaming background. So it's really interesting for us as artists to try and include that within builds as well. Like how do we make this accessible for someone that perhaps doesn't visit art galleries, doesn't really engage in contemporary art discourse, but still make it as something that is engaging and valuable for that community as well. And that kind of pushes our practice in these different directions.
No, I love that. That's like what in my experience as a teacher, that's like where you hit that magic point. You're teaching them, but you're like doing it in such a fun way. They're learning about art. They're playing a game. You're using all the amazing things that Decentraland has to offer to really create that engaging experience. And in regards to the coding part, is that something you and your coworker, or what's his name, Adrian or Adrian or?
Yeah, Adrian.
Adrian, okay. He's the or are you onboarding another a developer to do the coding aspect?
No, that's me.
Awesome, cool. So the SDK, no, I love it because I've been learning. I mean, I've been like off and on coding stuff, and I'm always fascinated. Like I can read code, but it's really hard to start from scratch for me. So when did you dive into that? Just like from tutorials, or what was your journey into doing that part?
Yeah, I have a physics background. So I was a graduate in physics. So I was coding when I was doing my physics degree. But
So
no, it's boring.
This is part of your DNA.
Like, there was no reason to do it because it's so dull when you're like coding C++.
Oh yeah,
like the
it is dull. I've done C++. You're like,
So Decentraland's finally given me a reason to get back into code again. It's just been this thing that this is just dull. And even doing it with generative NFTs, I was trying to learn it for doing kind of generative art projects. No, wasn't interested. But as soon as you get something visual in 3D, where you're like, oh, if I do this, I can do something cooler. That's the goal. And you feel much more autonomous as well. If you can do your own installs, if you can actually think about, right, if I have this, you start thinking, oh, I've got to learn Unity now.
I love Unity. I'm right there with you. I know.
This is the process.
That is so exciting because I'm like that too. Like all of these tools, it's just like so empowering to see what you can do over the last 20 years. You used to need a team. Now, if you're actually just interested as an individual, you can build some amazing things. There's so much powerful tools available that an individual with some, focus, motivation, and drive can create some amazing things. Like obviously what you guys are doing. And Serena, what about you?
What am I working on? Well, I have an event coming up, but I'm really not allowed to speak about it because I had to sign an NDA. So
we're not free. We know about that. I have a bunch of things. I can't talk about it either. So.
Yeah, so
that's exciting.
It's gonna be really cool because it's a really it's a brand that's worked with big brands, and just right now my main focus is working with big companies. Like, I mean, I love being a performer and performing and stuff, but I want to incorporate that and really like try to reach a larger platform that I can incorporate with Decentraland. So like, I guess those are the things I'm working towards. So that one project is going to be with a certain brand, and pretty much what this project that I've been working on, I don't want to lose momentum, and I want to keep, because I personally feel like it's had a huge impact, and I think that we got to keep it going, because the project, I know I said Sony came into my event.
Yeah, I saw that. I was going to ask you. You were doing some like consulting almost, and like education with them.
Right, like to me that's a big deal that I'm creating a project that is getting noticed by entertainment brand like that. So that only goes to show me that I'm on the right path. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I just need to learn how to just keep that going. And that's really to me, it's like, if it's working, don't shift, don't don't go to another direction. And I'm full of ideas, so I tend to be like, woo. But I'm like, hey, this is working. Don't veer too much off the path. So to me, it's like, all right, if it's that's what I should focus on, and if I want to add more to it, then I can do that. But right now, there's a couple ideas, but I don't want to speak about it too much, because sometimes I feel like when I talk about my ideas too fast, they end up not, you know what I mean? Like, not going through. So I kind of, I want to wait till I'm like close enough to share that,
No, I totally get that. Like, you want to make sure your baby, anytime you put one of your creations into the world, you want to make sure it's ready. It's like, at least it can walk, like we're always creating these little entities and sharing them with the world, however we build. And it's definitely always a process. And it's good to know like yourself enough to be like, okay, maybe in 3 months you'll be ready to walk,
Yeah. So I have so many ideas and I write them down on my phone, but I just think that in the next couple months I just kind of want to put it in full gear. Right now I'm in Thailand, but sometimes as a creative, and I consider myself a creative, but I really consider myself as an innovator. I like new ideas, fresh thought to come up, and then I'm like, okay, let me implement that. So how I'm able to do that is just being around different cultures. I need input. I need as much input as possible so I can give as much output. So that's like kind of where my process mentally is, because like if I've been 2.5 years into Decentraland and I haven't had a break. Like this is my first break. I'm being serious. Like I really haven't had a break to like put more input. So I've accomplished a lot. All right, let me take a little breather. Yeah. And this is the first break I've ever had. And it's been 2 weeks. So I'm just kind of, and even during this break, I'm still working in some way. Right, I'm here, but it's a little bit different. Like I'm the cultures sometimes helps getting new ideas. So, I plan on just doing more IRL events and just kind of seeing where, what's going on in the perspective of investors and engineers, just trying to get their perspective. Because I could see the artist perspective, but I want to see what these companies are going to invest in too. Like, what do they see? Where do they see where we're going to? So just getting different angles also helps to kind of move forward.
No, I love how you're taking that time, and I think it's those times of silence or times of break when amazing things just flow in. Because sometimes when we're so focused on something, there's ideas, but they're bouncing off because we're going this way. But when you give yourself that time to be I always love whenever I can giving myself those moments, but it's really hard in this space because it's
very hard. And it's funny because I just saw someone post Web3, there's no holidays, there's no days off.
There's not.
So it's we have more of an obligation and a duty to take those breaks, and we have to be really firm with ourselves to do that, because otherwise, if I continue 2.5 years and go for another 5 without a break, I might burn out. So I just need to be mindful and also, just take a step back, and that's what I'm doing here, and just getting as much culture influences as possible, because that's actually going to drive my artwork to be even better. The more influences that you have, the more ideas you'll have, so that's kind of how I look at it.
No, definitely. What about you, Bay? Do you give yourself time to kind of step back ever, or is that difficult I know you do a million things. Oh, you're muted.
There you go. I don't know. As I say, I've got to run in a couple of minutes.
Okay.
It's another call. I tried to take some time off, I did some consultancy before Christmas for like a Web3 social platform, and then I decided to take some time off, and then obviously that just rolls into doing a project for Metaverse Fashion Week. Doing some more consultancy for another Web2 digital brand who again is looking at community. A lot of my work is now moving much more into community, which is really exciting for me, because it's this way of connecting people through Metaverse and Web3 community that is so new, and it's so exciting, both as an artist but also as someone in Web3. But when you're in community, as Serena says, that you can't turn off. It's constant, and I think it's really, really important to start structuring how that works in Web3, and how we keep connecting with each other but have the downtime too. I don't know. It's
a difficult. That could be a whole show. I think we need to have more conversations. I think it would be fun to do a Twitter Spaces and invite just people to talk about things like that. I mean, I know you have to run, babe, but I wanted to talk to you guys also about the whole idea of confidence in this space, and how self-confidence is such a key element that isn't really talked about that much, and how important it is to have that, to even do a proposal, to jump in, to participate, and especially as female creators in this space, like all the different challenges we face as contributing members in the bro culture, like it's awesome, a lot of really cool bros, but a lot of difficulties too, like how to navigate this. But yeah, thank you so much, Bay. And I don't know if Serena, you have a couple more minutes, or if you have to go too, that's cool. But
I have time.
Okay, cool, because I would love to talk about that with you. But thank you, Bay, and let me know how we can help support all of you do moving forward. I'm always here to share. Okay, bye, Bay. Thank you. Yeah, I thought that would be really cool. Like when I actually translated that article that you posted. It was in German. I translated and I read all about your history. And that part that talked about confidence, I thought it resonated a lot, because it's such a key thing that I always forget, and I'm always, it's always coming up for myself as well. Like that whole, just how to maintain it and how to grow it in this space, and how to overcome it. Maybe can you talk a little bit about that?
I think confidence comes in so many different levels. So, I may have confidence in something like this, but in some areas, maybe I need a little help,
Yeah, totally.
So I think confidence comes in so many different areas. But as far as my work, I think I wasn't always confident. So I don't want to say I was born this way, because I was. I think, I used to be a very shy person, had lack of confidence actually. And it just kind of got to a point where I was kind of at my lowest. I'm like, if I don't change, then I'm always just going to be in the same spot. So it just kind of took a lot of internal changing of my dialogue more than the outside. So I think, as much as I'm a creator and stuff, I'm a huge advocate for mental health and also self-development. So that's something I do work on the side to kind of keep me going in this space, because I don't know if I can survive if I didn't put in that energy and effort onto that mental fortitude that I have right now. So it is a consistent basis type of deal to keep myself the way I am right now and to keep progressing. So, just being consistent. As much as I've been in the space, I'm also being consistent with journaling, meditating, reading. I mean, if I don't have that, I almost feel like I'm missing something at this point. Because it kind of keeps me going and it keeps me strong. Support, I do get support in Web3 space, but in real life, a lot of people don't believe in what I'm doing. They think I'm in another reality. So it's I have to really be my biggest cheerleader. So the confidence really comes internally, and just working on that on a consistent basis. And the more that I create something and I achieve something, the more confidence that I do have. So it's just kind of also when I set those goals and I achieve them, they do give me a boost of confidence too. So that does help me in a way. And that's why I like to be about my word when I say I'm going to do something, because am I being accountable for what I say I'm going to do, you know?
Yeah, I'd love that. I mean, everything you just said just reminds me of I'm always reading about all of these different things along mindset, meditation, and it's so important to have everything you outline. I could break it down because it's exactly it's what you have to remind yourself to do. Just simple act of goal setting, and also achieving a goal and being like, cool, that was awesome, I did it. Because sometimes you forget what you've
Yeah.
done. You're in the moment. You're like, oh, I'm not doing enough, or I'm not.
Mhm.
And it's like, no, reminding yourself. Especially, I'm always like thinking about people coming into the space now, which is why I love doing these series to like showcase like community members who are doing things, and like, yeah, we're all just learning, right? We're all just like, it's all a big crazy fun Wild West experiment, and like how all of us are going through this on some level. We all have these issues, and how to be aware of it and also take care of yourself, because that burnout and that all these issues arise to everybody, and sometimes if you're not aware that other people have it, then you feel even more isolated, you know?
Right. And I felt that a few times,
Yeah.
to be honest. I felt a few times I wasn't even like paying attention to what was going on around me. Like, and as much as I love the metaverse and like everything that, because I'm all pro for this, but it's like you have to, I think in this Web3 space, like if you don't hone in balance, I think in the long term, what effect does that have?
Yeah.
So, like, these are some of the things that I try to stay mindful of. That's why I'm here right now. I'm like, I got to be, present and, and then it gives me more energy, believe it or not,
Yeah,
to
I
keep
believe.
going. Right. So it's, the confidence thing it's just a daily reminder. Like I have to remind myself.
Well,
And also, just practicing every day. Even I used to hate public speaking and just speaking in general. So, like,
no, me too. I'm right there with you. I actually
just
started
even
going to
being here.
Toastmasters. Have you heard of Toastmasters?
Yeah, I've done it once.
There's a place here. Well, I live near Boulder, and it's amazing just to like, again, it's that community of everyone helping each other become better speakers. All just being aware of things that you need to improve, but also being in a group that supports you and helps you. And it's gonna like give you feedback that's gonna help you improve, and like how to find like moments and communities that can help you along whatever journey you're on when it comes to what you're trying to improve. And it's so important. It's things that you forget. Like I only recently started doing that because of the very reason. I'm like, well, I'm feeling kind of like this. Is like, oh, let's find a solution. Like how to help people be proactive to like any issues they're having in this space, which I know comes up to a lot of people, and I see it come up here and there. People mention things. I'm like, oh, I wonder if they're feeling this way, and like how to provide tools and help for a community that helps him move forward, you know?
Right. Yeah, it's so important. And what you're doing is great, kind of, setting the tone to how to collaborate and just speaking about what everyone is doing and how it's affecting, the community in a positive way. So I think this is a great um, thing that you're doing. I don't know if this is something you created, but it's
well, it's part of the, I don't know if you've seen the monthly pulse. This is our 4th edition. We've interviewed Vroomway, the VR client, and Meta Party. And then you guys I was like, would be great to showcase just because you've been doing so many amazing things. So it's part of the facilitation squad. So we put out a thing called the monthly pulse, and this is part of the monthly pulse. The rest of the monthly pulse is more focused on like issues like VP and working group, like highlights, but I kind of focus on the creator side and like showcasing like people like you guys, so people coming into the space are, I'm deep in the woods of it and I know kind of what's going on, but it's really great to show, and also to like, things are changing so fast. In like 2 years it's going to be so different. Or even just running around Decentraland, like when I started about 2.5 years ago, all those builds are gone because everything's new. Everything, like a city that like changes so fast. So it's beautiful to document your journey. I'm sure the two of you guys in 2 years will be like doing so many other amazing things. So it's a great kind of like historical documentation, and also hopefully people who watch this learn and grow and get motivated to engage more and create, or collaborate, do something with it. And so yeah, that's kind of why I wanted to do this series as part of that monthly pulse that we put out.
Yeah, no, you're asking great questions, and that can really inform someone new or even someone that's been in Decentraland for a while. They'll be like, oh, wow, that's a good idea. Like, I should be, this could help me in some ways.